Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Assad. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning.
I think we're waiting on a few here, so we will get things going in a couple of minutes.
No problem.
Good morning.
Morning, Greg. Morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
Give it just another minute or so here. I know we've got a few more signed up, so we'll give them a chance to join us here. Hopefully everybody got the note about the last minute change in time. I apologize for that. Got an appointment that ran late, and so I had to push back here a little bit. But for most of you, I don't think this is totally new content here. But while we're waiting for others to join, since I think most of you have been on this similar call, just wanted to maybe go around the virtual room here and see what it is that brought you here that you're hoping to get out of today's topic, because I think we can go a little bit off script in terms of the slide deck here and talk a little bit, maybe work a little bit on branding. So what are you coming with today? What's on your agenda?
Well, this is Greg. And I have found out something very interesting the last few days, that LAK tells us to personalize every resume that we have.
Uh-huh.
And I found out, guess what? Companies do it too. Yeah, I had an interview and they sent me their job description and it was too perfect. Since I was in September, since I was let go, I have been focused on AI because I was told, I asked them, why did I lose my job? And they go, AI. Oh. So I have been laser focused on AI, Chat GPT, and I have a way better understanding of it now than I did then. But I still want to learn more because LAK tells us to use Chat GPT to do your, individualize your resumes for every company. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. And that's about as far as my thought process went. And then I got a job description that was every single line was absolutely perfect. And I'm going, oh, this is AI. And it was through a not a contractor, but oh, and I apologize. I'm just still waking
A
up here.
recruiter?
A recruiter, yes, thank you. When I was let go in September, they gave me a very good package. And so I didn't really have to look right away. And so I've been taking the time to learn why I lost my job. And I've learned through LAK that you should personalize every resume to every company. I think, okay. Well, and again, that's as far as it got in my thought process. Companies do it too.
Mhm.
And I thought it was the recruiter company doing it and talking with them back and forth for a couple days. And no, it wasn't us. Even smaller companies will have a really smart IT person that does there's no way this wasn't AI. The job description, there is just no way. And what I've learned in the last 5 months, there's no way this was not AI assisted. And I called him on that. As far as the recruiter went, is well, we didn't do that. That must have been the place you're applying for. And I go, okay. So I just want to put that out there that because there was somebody on here and I can't remember her name, but she was complaining that somebody or some place that she was looking at said, "Well, we're going to give you a special place," and she couldn't understand why when they did that. The next day there was like 20 more people applying for it and she didn't get that. I had, yeah, that's why, because the companies do it and uh, so that's
Mhm.
my 2 cents for the day is just to make anybody aware that it goes both ways. We're taught, oh, and God bless LAK, Andy. Oh, you guys are so great. Um, but it goes both ways. And just like when I asked, so why am I being laid off? AI. Oh, it goes both ways. So, okay, that's my
Mhm.
2 cents for today.
Thank you for that, Greg. Yeah, and certainly, and so it goes back to even more so than why um, having this online brand, having a personal brand that will set you apart, that can I guess no AI could ever replace is key, and so we'll keep that in mind as we continue our conversation today. Anybody else in terms of what you hope to get out of today?
Yeah, I would
Andy?
say that for me, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I have a different mode today. I just was looking for like I think some tips as I've had a couple of interviews, a couple of questions and things as I know I've expressed Nike's in the middle of layoffs, so that's hard for me because I'm competing now with hundreds of thousands of more people for the same jobs. And how do I get a little bit more how do I stand out more in an interview or how do I be that person that has these great qualities that somebody wants to hire and like how do I just elaborate that to everyone or anybody that I'm speaking with. I feel like I'm pretty good at doing I have pretty good at building relationships and talking, but what other things can I do to kind of uh, just live it up a little bit more and be the primary choice for people as they're interviewing and whether it's on a phone call or a video screen or in person. So just
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was. I think the online branding for me is I don't know, I feel like I like the personal thing and the specific, but I also feel like overall I want to have a bunch of I want to portray a certain thing and then if that brings you in then I'll give you like a kind of a close up of me. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So it's the book title, it's the headline, it's the what's going to make me want to pick up that book off the bookshelf and want to know more, right? The title grabs my attention and then I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to read the back, which gives me the summary of the book, and then I'm going to read the table of contents, and if I like what I'm seeing, I'm going to go deeper and read the book, or in this case, have the interview. And so how do you get there? That's a good, I think it's a good place to start. But Maria or Assad, anything from your end before I come back to Stephanie's here?
Yeah, I will share first of all, I really want to learn in this class more of a personal and online branding because there are so many different strategies, different philosophies. There's no best practices. Sometimes, there are so many people look into in a different perspective, so it's always a challenge. I'm trying to find out what's the neutral way of branding and putting those strategies. As far as job search is going on, it's going good. Every week I have been in touch with some recruiters. Either they are contacting me or I'm contacting. The process is slow, without any doubt. uh, I don't know, it could be any reasons, but the good news is I'm getting more calls on paid consultation, like 1 hour consultation. Today I have a call with someone from Japan. They wanted to know something about industry. They found me as a SME, so they reached out to me, put a call for 1 hour. I had a similar call 2 weeks ago. So that's surprising. I mean, I have never received, I mean, I received last year one time, but in the last 1 month, I received 2 calls for paid consulting discussion. So that's interesting.
Interesting. Asad, out of curiosity, are you doing those through like a freelance kind of program? How are they finding you for these consulting conversations?
Based on my experience and skill set. So, and then based on my previous companies. So then I have been in the reliability within the industry. So that's very specific market about condition monitoring, reliability services,
Mm.
protection
But
and breach.
do you have a website or something, or do you have how would these folks from Japan know to find you specifically?
LinkedIn, through
On
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn? Okay.
Absolutely. That's why I'm more interested in this personal and online branding
So are
because I
you advertising on LinkedIn, or they just found your profile?
know I have never advertised this, so that's a little bit strange. Yeah.
Um, have okay. No, that's awesome. I think this is a great way we can bring together that with Stephanie, kind of your question or thoughts as well. Marie, anything from your standpoint?
I have a quick comment. This is Greg.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did an online thing through LinkedIn, and it was worldwide. And so for me, in my little neighborhood here, I learned from that class or whatever it was I took that it is worldwide. It came from South Africa, and it had people from all different parts of the planet. And so, yeah, I see how Assad got something from Japan because LinkedIn is not just where we are, it is worldwide. So that was my 2 cents again.
Absolutely. Close to 1 billion accounts on LinkedIn, right? So the digital footprint, the digital brand is key. And I was just looking up Assad's LinkedIn profile, and I could see why it's getting found. Your banner photo that you have, Assad, is attention grabbing, right? It is that title of the book that is interesting. I build solutions oriented dream teams that create transformative competitive advantage fueled by a can-do spirit and a love for collaboration. That right off the hop makes me think there's something there that I want to talk to. Now, if I go out as well, and if I am looking for a subject matter expert, so to say, and for you, it's in reliability services. I'm gonna search if I'm on LinkedIn for experts that come up in reliability services, right? And so um, it's all about the algorithms, right? I guess is what I'll say. And so Stephanie, back to your point about, okay, well, Nike's laying off people, right? I'm in the shoe apparel business, and so I now suddenly I've gone from being one of many to one of a lot of manys now, right? And so how do I stand out? How do I get to be in Assad's shoes where I'm hitting the algorithms, so to say, where when somebody goes out and searches for a reliability expert or a merchandising planner, um, how do I make sure my name, my profile rises to the top, right? And so there's a lot that you can do with your digital brand to get that out there, right? And so let me come back to you, Stephanie, and ask you, if you were interviewing somebody for a role, have you ever hired somebody onto your team or in other capacities?
I was able to partake in interviews at one time, so
Okay.
not really, but
Well, so that's fair enough. So given that experience, let me ask you, um, how do you decide between, you've got two equally qualified people, in terms of resume, they're equal, uh, equal qualifications, equal degrees, equal experiences, equal strengths and abilities, past accomplishments, similar job titles in the past. How do you decide which one?
well, I think that's actually funny. I feel like that's easy. I would say it's
Okay.
like, hey, how do they fit with the people on my team? Is there something that comes out that I can ask them, personality? Um, I'm a very like I like to know about people's other side. Like I don't necessarily think it's all about work, right? So I want to get to know them there, but I also feel like that's kind of me and that's personal. Like I work for somebody who doesn't care so much about that, and they're very work driven, and it's very focused on work and then go home. But I've worked for a number of different people who are very across the spectrum in
Yeah.
terms of that social versus strict work kind of thing. So I mean, for me, it's about fit with a team, right? And
Okay.
personality, what you do, can you show passion and those things. And this is the thing, like I try to convey that because that's what I want to work with. So I feel like if I'm talking in an interview about and displaying my personality and a little bit of who I am without going overboard, that's hopefully enough to be able to pull me in, or maybe that's the person I'm talking to, that's what they want to. So it's kind of it's just silly. It's like a swipe left, swipe right, like,
Yeah.
oh, do they fit my
All
my
right. Let's go with that. Let's go with the Tinder example there, right? Or whatever dating app that likens to as well, right? So I'm gonna be totally out of school here because I've never used it. Um, Swipe left means what?
great
Interested or not
question.
interested?
I think swipe right is interested and left
Okay,
is, but again, I could
we'll
be
go with it.
totally wrong, but that's
No,
what I
that's
think.
fine. We'll go with it. Swipe right, you're interested. Swipe left, you're not interested. So what gets people to swipe right? What gets people interested? And it goes back to my book analogy, right? So we'll use the dating app analogy. What gets them more swipe rights than swipe lefts on their digital brand, so to say?
Yeah, maybe it's a photo. It could be I don't know.
What about their photo though? Because everybody's going to have a photo, right? What might be, again, let's set aside looks and
Mhm.
and a natural attraction for a second and say, what kind of photo might get somebody a swipe right?
You're talking in terms of looking for jobs though, right?
No, just
No, I would say
why would I be interested in going on a date with this person?
I think
What about
it's
their photo might get me interested to swipe right?
probably perspective where it's taking place, kind of it's almost like your headline and like
Mm-hmm.
does it draw you in? Is there a
Mm-hmm.
compelling activity or something? It depends on what you're doing. Like, are
Mm-hmm.
you at a sporting event? Are you at a bar? Are you and
Yeah. Are you out hiking? Are you
right.
smiling? Do you have a serious look on your face? Do you look, I don't know, I mean, well groomed, well manicured kind of thing? I mean, people want to, like you said, Stephanie, right? People, aside from looks and attractiveness, right, and being attracted to one another, what attracts people to each other is what you described a minute ago, which is kind of personality and how do they fit with the team and how what do I know about you as a person, right? What do I know about you as a person? Um, and so um, those are important things, right? That first impression is where you start because so what you said, Stephanie, is I when I get in the room, I feel like I'm really good at setting myself apart. Okay, but how do you get yourself into the room, right? When there are hundreds and if not thousands of people out there now because of what's going on with Nike, which is in your backyard, as we've talked about in the past. Um, what's going to get, I don't know, company A to swipe right on Stephanie and swipe left on most of the others?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been fortunate in the past to, I have a degree. I have an MBA, right? So that has helped me get my foot in the door. I've got some titles. I've got the company on my resume, right? So I have some of the experiences in there. Um, I think it's just
Those are
selling
all
them in the right
things.
way.
So again, even so, let's go up a level though, right? So those are all things that
Yeah.
that's kind of the back cover of the book. That's the if before I swipe right, and my first impression of your profile photo and what may be a couple of little bits of information on the dating app. I'm gonna click on it and then go see where does that person I don't know what's on the dating, what do they do for a living, what do they do for fun, what, so your degrees, your experiences, your past positions again are, I'll just say it really bluntly, Stephanie, are the bare minimum, right? If a job calls for this level of experience in an MBA, great. You and 400 other people applying for that job have that. So let me ask it again. So what's going to get me to swipe right on you when I've got 400 people who all have the past job titles and experience and accomplishments on their resume and the MBA?
I guess I
Feel
would
free,
say
I
anybody
just
to
want,
jump in as well too. I'm not
yeah.
putting Stephanie on the spot here by any. I'm sorry, Stephanie, but anybody
oh, and
else
don't
has any thoughts too? This is kind of open forum.
Yeah, I've been
and
doing
pl-
this for 5 months, and the banner, the thing that I've learned, and every time I'm online with LAK, I go straight to their banner or straight
Yeah,
to their profile, and it's the banner that brings. That's what I see first. If they
yeah.
have no banner, then they're not really trying very hard. If they
No,
have an
no
amazing
banner,
banner,
no photo, right? As well,
oh
right, Greg?
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But that's what catches me first when I go to look for other people
So,
is what
Greg,
is this
I mean,
banner?
do you mind if I use you as an example then?
Oh,
And
no,
Assad,
that'd
I
be good.
just
Okay,
noticed your hand up. So while when I share my screen here, Assad, what are you thinking with? Please jump in.
There are several things actually, Andy, and I'll list down one by one based on my experience. First of all, if you remember, you talk about the 70 or 80% of the jobs are already filled before. So that's absolutely true. I had two experiences. I was interviewed at last level, and the later on, they told me that they have a hired internal candidate. So we are not only competing with the external candidate, they
Mm-hmm.
apologize. They say, unfortunately, we have internal and we have a policy to give him or her priority. But I mean, you are still active. If there's something changes, we will get back to you.
Yeah.
So two very close where I was probably 100% ideal candidate. So, but they have to give preference to the internal candidate.
Yeah, you
So
lost.
that,
Well, and it's not necessarily preference. Why would I go with the internal versus the external, Assad?
yeah, because of I would say comfort zone. You have a relationship, you know the person, and by the way, even in
Yeah.
that position, they knew me also. I have
Yeah.
worked with them, but
Yeah.
because now I'm not with that circle, so of course, in that company where I worked 15 years, and they really wanted me to join again, but because they have an internal person, so they put me on this. There is another position, but that's like after 2 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that there are several things. This is one thing. A second thing is, to be honest, if you have a relationship or some references, that will put you above those 400. Well, I mean, that's my personal experience. Whatever you do in your branding, whatever you do in your resume, I would say it's okay. It's not bad, but I don't feel that that is gonna give me a job. I don't think so. It's gonna maybe put me in the pool, but I don't think that's gonna give me a job that somebody
Yep.
gonna look my banner and say, "Oh yeah, he's the guy or she's the person." No, I don't think so.
So
That's my
it's definitely multi-pronged, right? So it's definitely um, yeah, if it's you versus the internal person, right? They've got something that you don't, which Stephanie mentioned it before, and you mentioned it as well too, right? Is they're part of the organization, they're part of the culture, right? So at least I know that they are assimilated, right? They know what's expected here, etc. Um, it's not just about the digital brand. It is a lot about the who do you know, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how can those connections help me? Um, but it's a both and, I would say, right? So you still have to, even in those cases, establish yourself as the of all the people I can recommend and think of, Assad's the first one that comes to mind, right? So why Assad? Why Stephanie? Why Greg? Why Maria? Um, and I still come back to it's that brand, whether it's the digital brand or it's the brand in terms of the what your reputation is. Let's keep in mind there is also that, right? The what is your reputation out there is key to this as well too. That's also your brand. So it is more than the headline photo. It is more than the keywords that are on your LinkedIn profile, but it's all of it together, right? And because yes, ultimately those you're going to get the job by more than likely through the connection, whether it's a new connection, whether it is an old connection, but that's and not saying that that is the highest likelihood, right? That's the highest likelihood is that's the way the job's going to come. It's not the only way. It's just studies show that that's the highest likelihood of how 80% of the jobs get filled that way. Um, but so it's about how you pull it all together, and I'm going to keep going back to the dating analogy, right? The dating example, which says, so same thing, right? You can use the app, and hope that people swipe right on you. But if you're out dating, you're out looking to make a connection with somebody. The other way is also through people you know, right? Hey, you're looking, let's make a love connection kind of thing, right? And so um, you still have to stand out in that sense too, right? Because of all the quote unquote fish in the sea, um, how if we've got mutual friends, mutual acquaintances that, you know, and I'm looking, how can I make sure that, you know, I want to hook, I want to make the best match, right? If I'm the person making the match, right? So I don't want to connect you with somebody that's not a good fit for you. And so it's got to be why Assad, right? Why do I want to make that connection of my friend to Assad? Because Assad is a great person, and you know, somebody that I ought to think that I think you ought to get to know, right? And an accomplished professional in his field, etc. And so, yeah, it is the full package, and that's why we're not talking about just digital brand. We're talking about personal brand too, right? So, and this goes back to Stephanie too, like, you know, what really is it? And that's important for y'all to think about, is what is your reputation? What do you want to be known for? What is your what makes you unique? I hesitate. A lot of people use the word, what is your superpower? I hesitate a little bit in that because that's a little too cliche, but it kind of makes sense, right? What is your what is that thing, Stephanie, that of all the people from Nike, um, what is that thing that makes you different? It may be, Stephanie, and maybe I'm not from Nike, right? Um, and but let me tell you what I am. And so how do you answer that question, even just in the grocery store? You bump into somebody, you're both trying to grab the same box of cereal off the shelf, and somehow you strike up a conversation and they say, "Hey, Stephanie, tell me about yourself. What do you do?" How do you answer that question?
You know, it's interesting. While I was at Nike, it's always about your elevator pitch. If you're in the elevator, right? And I mean, that continued into different parts of my career. I think that also, uh, you know, I was recently asked why you for this job, and I think, unfortunately, I think I prepared for that in a different manner. It was more like why the company, and so I was able to answer it, but I think to be more compelling, right? That was part of my thing. So I think it's really important to think about and talk about. And I just feel sometimes I feel like it's scripted, almost like, oh, I'm a great this, and this, or, you know, and I think that's where I personally struggle because it doesn't seem genuine.
Okay, but let me go back on something you said a minute ago, though, because you said a minute ago the person that you would hire onto your team are the person that shows a little bit more of their human side and their personal side of things, and who is more authentic and genuine. And so if you're saying that's the person that you want to hire on your team, and you're saying, well, for me though, when I do it, like, it doesn't feel as genuine. What does that tell you then, Stephanie, or anybody? What does that tell you is your next steps to do?
I need to just be myself and just figure out how to integrate myself into what I'm saying and how to do that and practice it.
So what keeps us from being ourselves, or what keeps us from showing up as ourselves?
Perception.
Perception, which kind of is an offspring of confidence, I would say, which is kind of born out of, let's call it, lack of preparation, right? So why do we not have a high enough perception of ourselves? Where's that lack of confidence coming from? It's coming from, we're not prepared for that question, right? Tell me about yourself, or what do you do? More often than not, in a cocktail party or in the grocery store, out in a social setting, most people will say, well, I'm a director of reliability, or I'm an electronics technician at blank. Stephanie, I'm a senior merchandising planner. That's not the correct answer. I'll say it that matter of factly, right?
Yeah.
What are you really? What do you really do? Yeah, okay, I get you're a senior merchandising planner, but what is really Stephanie? Tell me about yourself. And that's the part right out of the gate where we struggle, right? Because we tie ourselves to the job title and the company we work for. But that's not your brand. That's just a title. That's not who you are. That's not the human, the genuine, authentic human being behind that title. So when somebody says, what do you do? Tell me about yourself. Again, go back to what Nike, the elevator pitch, right? Is Nike a shoe retailer? So somebody doesn't know Nike. Somebody Nike, never heard of it. What's Nike? What do they say?
Or the athlete, and I don't know. We
Look at this. Can you see what I'm sharing? Everybody see
yes.
this? Nike, about Nike. Right here. Nike Inc., named for the Greek goddess of victory, is the world's leading designer, marketer, and distributor of authentic athletic footwear, apparel, equipment, and accessories for a wide variety of sports and fitness activities. Tell me about Nike. Well, Nike, named for a Greek goddess of victory. That's different than Nike. Never heard of it before. What's Nike? Well, we're a shoe and athletic apparel manufacturer. Does that get me excited about Nike?
Yeah.
Versus, because there's a lot of shoe and athletic apparel manufacturers out there, right?
Yeah, one of their slogan was very famous, and I think still it is, let's do it.
Just do
That
it.
also comes with the Nike. That
Yeah.
was more famous. The one which you are showing me for the Greek god, this is the first time I am hearing. So more of
Yeah.
a, yeah, it's something news.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's the key here. And again, so if I even go to their website and I'm looking, there's shoes and stuff like that, but what kind of stuff am I seeing here? Like, this is a lifestyle, right? This is more than, this is people, like, I want to be like them, right? Um, uh, you know, I want to, we're seeing lifestyle things here. We're seeing more than just shoes. Yes, there's picture of shoes, but there's people here's a guy not even in shoes, for crying out loud. Workout essentials. Smiling, active, right? So you get a sense of Nike beyond just, because if it was all about the shoes or in the athletic apparel, they would just post that, right? But they're showing people in the athletic apparel, in the out and about, smiling, right? Looking like they're enjoying it. So you get a sense of, if I put the Nike clothing on, or if I put the Nike shoes on, I'm going to be different, right? I'm going to be different. So you got to come out of the gates with that. What I would really challenge you all to start off with is the what, and it's hard to come up with a title, so to say, right? Of the what am I really? Because again, Stephanie, and Assad, you've done this, right? You've put this in your headline here: business development, customer success, product management, Greg, you've done the same thing. Electronic technician, electrical technician, PCBA, build and repair. You're getting the key words in here. But what is your actual title, right? So, Stephanie, let's go back to yours here for a second. And I hope you all don't mind me putting you on the spot here with this. Are you Stephanie Elwanger, MBA, senior merchandising planner, inventory, demand planning, supply chain, retail analytics forecaster? Or what are you exactly? Tell me something interesting. Tell me something that sets you apart. Why are you a better merchandising planner than others? And you don't have to answer that right now, but I'm telling you, that's the thing to think about, right? That's the what's going to set me apart, what's going to make me different. And then it comes down to other things in here, right? So, you know, is there anything specific about this banner photo, Stephanie, with regard to your headline, your uniqueness, your superpower, so to say? Any connection to merchandising planning?
It's not, but this for me is the personal side, right? I'm a aquatics person. Like I swimming, and it was my call. It paid for college. I've coached in the past. I've been a teacher. It's also something like that I'm passionate about, and I still do. So
did that drive you into this business by any chance? Make a connection for me there.
Well, I would say 100%. I think like the activity in sports for me was a thing, and I had moved to Oregon. Oregon is a place, well, obviously Nike's here and all these, Adidas, Nike, and I connect with sports, and that's a passionate thing of mine. That I will say that banner is quite old, but people challenged me to change this, and that's what I came up with when I didn't have one at first, because I was trying to, portray something about myself that's personal as well. Because again, related to my other comment, is like, for me, it's about personal and like the mix, because you spend a lot of time with these people, and
yep.
Unfortunately, if you work with me, you're going to know a little bit about my family or what I do on the side, because I'm a little bit more social or in that respect. And that's a big part of who I am. And I think that's important. It's an important part of me building relationships with good working relationships with people, so that they can understand where my priorities are and maybe why I might be distracted one day or focused another day. Right. So,
yep. So, but bring it all together for me though, right? Into that story, into that about you, right? Make it all connect, because I've got right here is my first impression of Stephanie, right? This is it. Then I'm going to scroll down, and then it goes down into this about section, right? So tie it all together for me, right? I mean, it should start off, it goes back to my passion for swimming and aquatics. And, and connect that. You mentioned it earlier as well, the passion, right? I'm going to hire the person that seems to fit with the team, seems to have the passion, I want to know the person behind the title. I love all of what you said, Stephanie, right? As reasons why you'd hire person A over person B, all else things being equal. And so now we need that from you, Stephanie, right? Make yourself the person that shows that there's a personal connection to this, right? I'm doing this because of I'm more personally driven, right? It's more meaning. It's not just a job. It's not just a paycheck. Like, it started with this, and then I found a way to turn that into a career. So I would start off with I always love to write a story, right? Go back. Your brand actually starts much further back than you think, in terms of your childhood, or for some, it was a particular teacher or a particular class in school. or for others, it was a moment in time where they volunteered and they've worked with children their whole life. And they helped and they volunteered at the Salvation Army, and now they're a nurse in a children's hospital, right? And so make those connections, go back and say, where did it all start? And start writing the story, and then up to why do you do what you do now? Then you can back into that headline, then you can back into that photo, and you can back into that tell me about yourself elevator pitch. Assad, do you have a thought or a comment or a question?
Yes, along the same line, Andy, I see there is a lot, there is a great story for Stephanie. I did recently, my banner is recent one which you were showing, and if you go open my about section, I just put that with the help of Alec
Yes.
Nancy, I put this about section because I have a passion. I'm a sports lover. I was a captain of my school team, college team, university team. Now I'm playing tennis here in States, and I have my own team, and we play a lot tennis. So I linked that team building. That's my passion. Working with diverse people, diversity, giving the chance to everyone. So I have linked all this into my profession. But professionally, I'm an engineer and I have done the executive MBA. But my passion for sports, it taught me a lot how you can work in a diverse culture and with the different people and skill set. So I have more stories in future. I will be adding those based on my different age and time zone of those stories. I will be adding more posts in the future. But this about section is just a week ago I added over here.
I mean, I'm just reading this right off the first three paragraphs. They are so captivating, Saad, right? Like, yeah, it goes back to your love of cricket and the only pitch available was an empty neighborhood lot, and how you and your buddies got together and turned that into a field of dreams, right? And how that's driven you, and it comes back to and now it all ties together, right? Now, just in that little bit, it makes sense. And it ties back to this headline, a love for collaboration, right? A can-do spirit, right? Goes all the way back
Mhm.
to your 12, right? When you turn that empty lot into you and your friends, dream pitch, right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
how you collaborated to get there, and how working with and how that comes through. Now, if I continued reading, I'm sure I'd make a total connection. Right now, fueled by the knowledge and can-do spirit, my love for collaboration, I've become adept at building solutions oriented dream teams that create transformative competitive advantage. Interesting, right? Now I want to know more about Assad. Now I want to know why I need to have him on my team. Because, yeah, if I do a quick look down, yep, all right, yep, he's got the degrees, yep, he's got the experience. But if I got to make a decision between Assad and somebody else who's also been a director of reliability services, this is personal. This is the human side. This is the passion, right? This is the connect. He knows. Assad knows how it all connects, right? He knows what fuels him. He knows he made that connection all the way back to when he was 12 years old. That was the starting point for him. He knew right then, and maybe you didn't know it at 12, Assad, right? You didn't know it then, but looking back on things now, you see how the universe aligns, right? You see how the universe aligns, and that's the story. That's the brain, right? I'm a collaborator. I'm a can-do spirited kind of guy, right? So long as I've got a team of people around me, we're going to get it done. There is no can't in my vocabulary. It's only can do. We will find a way, but I can't do it by myself. I need great. And now I'm more intrigued. Now I'm understanding Assad a little bit more than just behind the director of reliability services. Because now I understand how he is going to get it done. Does that help all of you, Stephanie? How does that resonate with you?
I think it's perfect. I feel like it's nothing I feel like I haven't heard before. I think it's translating it into the newest thing, right? Like when LinkedIn first came out, it was like you had to put these things in, you do that, and then, but like how to be compelling and how to do those things. And I know this is silly and I know Nike because when I have my partner works there. I've worked there. It's in our town. Like you talk to people that are like, "Oh, everybody works at Nike," and I'm like, "Yes," but it's the marketing, right? They're a marketing genius in so many ways, and like I always feel, and you talk about self confidence. Like I don't feel like I'm the best marketer or creative or whatever, but just trying to take yourself and make sure that you can think of yourself in a way that does that, and that's all it is, right? It's just transforming and shifting the perspective on you and what you come out as, and then talking also about like how you portray yourself to people. I in the past year and prior to me being laid off, I had an interview where I just miffed a question, and I know I wasn't prepared for it. And I think that, right, sometimes the way I came off and I didn't handle it as well, like I hadn't practiced interviewing at that point for a really long time. And there's, part of it is practice, right? So I think it's just thinking and putting yourself in that mindset where I feel, right, I haven't been in a position in the past couple of years to have to brand myself in a mindset where I'm putting myself out there and like, hey, look at me kind of thing, where now I have to, because I would like to find another job and working to get that there. Although, there's been times in my past where I've been doing that branding as I'm working. So I think there's a little bit of a mindset about what do we look at? What do we,
Look at that.
how do
Even
we,
the puppy's like, hell yes.
yeah.
Right? She's like, go on, Mom. Keep preaching.
Yeah, that's Andy's
Totally,
dog.
totally fine. No, it's not. It's not. I think Stephanie, that's your dog, right?
That's my dog. Yeah, he gets
Oh.
excited. We have a buddy come in. We always have.
Oh, well.
We
I
have.
thought he was excited about what you were saying.
Oh yeah. Well, he just gets excited. So
Totally. No, that's totally fine. That's awesome. Sounds like a big dog. So Assad, while Stephanie's put herself on mute, a question for you is how natural, how long did it take you to get to your story? And maybe even tell me a little bit about your level of skepticism, maybe working with your coach when you first started this process. Like, were you thinking, yeah, that's crazy talk? Or tell me the evolution to get to your about story here.
I started one training in November, and it ended. It was like 2.5 month, 3 months training in the Kellogg Executive Education. I was registered when I was with Rigo Rexnord, Mastering Sales, a toolkit for success. In that, there was 1 week of a training about storytelling. And I myself use a lot of stories during my speaking, whenever I'm speaking at different forums. So that really triggered me. And the instructor over there explained how they have used different stories in training that class. So then I thought, oh my, I have so many stories. It's not, I mean, I always remember those stories. Then I talked to Nancy and say, Nancy, I have some ideas. I have so many different stories of team building, even of some success, some failure, lesson learned. What shall I do? And then she said, okay, why don't you start with one and let's see what we can do for next. So I put one story, which was really a match. I am going to post very soon, a match which we won against a very competitive team. We never have had won that match in the past in my school team. So I was the captain, so we won. So from there, we started this about section, and she actually advised me to link everything to your past. And then this story came up of my 12 years when we built a youth club. And I mean, out of those people, I still am in contact with them. They were really from different backgrounds, different families, and we don't play like one or two people in cricket. We play 11 in the ground and two or three on the bench. So you need like 14 and 15 people, and it's very different. Some of the people have very different skill set needed. So that's really talking to Nancy. This idea came up, and we had two, three, maybe more than that, maybe 4 or 5 back and forth meetings, fine tuning the content, and finally I put it over there.
But what a powerful thing you had that storytelling class to help you with this and kind of push you along with it. Because again, it's not natural for us, right? So everything I'm saying here today, keep in mind it's not natural, right? For any of us, and some it may be more natural than others, but as professionals, doing this is hard, and it's because for the most part, our society, our culture has conditioned us to not allow the personal side of things to really come in and make that connection. And that's why for so many years, and Stephanie, you kind of touched on too, for so much of our careers kind of happened to us, right? And now you've got this opportunity to kind of design your career going forward, right? Because in how many times in your life do you have this moment to pause, right? As you've said, Stephanie, you kind of went from role to role to role, and you've not, this is not a normal thing for any of us to go through, be in a transition like this. But the gift of it is you get the time to really connect with what is it and how now do I live my career by design going forward, and connect with who am I really, right? And how do I help the organization I work for? And how does it all connect back to something or a series of experiences in my past that have driven me to this point, and how will that drive me forward is kind of the thing. So that's the important part about the branding, right? Beyond anything we could say about what photo, what title, what should be included in your LinkedIn page, your resume, how you answer the question of tell me about yourself, it all comes back to what do you want your career to look like going forward? What would you like to say about yourself in terms of what kind of person, employee, coworker am I, right? What are you going to get if you hire me? And why is that different than the hundreds of people out there who are getting laid off from Nike, who are now also competing for me for the same job, who just have, the plain vanilla resume, and don't have the opportunity to work with a career coach on developing my story, developing my brand that's going to set me apart from others, that when I go into those interviews, I'm gonna be tremendously confident about myself, and I'm going to have a plan for success for when those questions are asked about me, about tell me about yourself, tell me about a time when, how would you handle this? All of those things, all of your personality, all of who you are as a professional, all of how you want your career to go going forward, align with that. And that's the part about the brand that's critically important. Final questions about any of that? Go ahead, Stephanie.
I think it's really insightful, and I think that's what I was looking, right, to just a reminder. And again, I know we've all heard this before because we've all done similar types of things. Or, I mean, I've been in, what do we call them, offsites, or at work, where it's like doing some of these, and I've built my one pager. There's all sorts of things that I've done in the past, right, that may or may not still be applicable, but I appreciate the insight and the prompting, because that's what helps me think about these things and take action and do something, for that. So sorry about the dogs. We dog sit during the day for my friend's dog because they live in an apartment. So my dog gets very excited to see his friend. And
Do
he is
not
a lab.
apologize for that. He's a lab?
Yeah, he's a yellow
Uh,
lab.
oh, that's mine. I got a yellow lab too. So no worries at all. She's usually with me, but not today. She's upset. She's at home, but she gets to go play with her friends later this week. So I totally get it. So yeah, so that would be the thing, Stephanie, and for all of you, like a little reckless abandonment, like now, like allow yourself to, nobody has to read it. You don't have to post it, but just what's your story, and what do you want your story to be going forward? And take that time to think about that, and then work with your coach on how do I evolve that into my about section, like Assad has. How do I evolve that into a photo? How do I evolve that into what really is my title, my unofficial title, my what do I do, not what is my job title that some HR department gave me in some organization, but what is it really? So if you were to design your own job title, what would that be, right? How did you get to be who you are? Why did that love of swimming, how does that translate into how you show up at work? How do you bring that to your work? By the way, how do you know Allison Lilly?
She was my suite mate in freshman year in college.
Oh, shit.
And we're doing girls trip to Vegas, and she'll be there in a month and a half. So I'll see her.
Her and
Do
I
you know
worked
her?
together for years.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
I haven't seen her in a long time, but yeah, I know she was a swimmer at Arizona State, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. Well, if she remembers me, say hello
I will.
when you're
I
in
will.
Vegas.
So much fun. Yeah, that's crazy. It is a small world, I will say. Swimming has
It
bought
is
my
indeed.
world.
It is
But I
indeed.
think coming up with your story, and like, how do you, my only last question, I know it's time, but like, how do you have to prepare a 30-second one? You know what I mean? Like when you're actually
We
in the
have,
elevator and they say
yep,
that, like, what do you
and we have
do?
templates for that too. We have a 30-second commercial. It's out on Oriel. I
Okay.
believe it's under your networking tab. That
Okay.
is walks you through it, but your coach can also help you with that too. Yeah, we call it the 30-second commercial, and it helps. It's a kind of a fill in the blank. You can do it on your own, or you can do it with your coach that guides you through how to craft that message. But again, I always like to go big first and then chisel it back, right? So write the big story, just let it all out, right? Let it all out on paper, and then we can dial it back to the 30-second commercial. Then we could dial it back to the headline. Then we could dial it back to, okay, so what kind of photo should you have on your banner, and what words should you put in your headline, and all that kind of stuff. But I always like to go the opposite way first because it's usually easier, right? Like we can go and narrow it down. It's a lot harder to expand on that, right? It's like write the book first and then give it the title.
Yeah. Tops down versus bottoms up. Gotcha.
You got it. Yep. So yeah, that would be my challenge to you is over the next few days, really allow yourself some space and to get into your head and really just let it out, right? Like why did I go this direction? What do I love? And yeah, the small world of swimming and what has that meant for me, just like Assad, right? With him and his 12-year-old friends turning that empty field into one of the coolest cricket pitches that they've ever experienced, kind of thing, right? So yeah, cool. And again, stay in touch with your coaches, guys, on helping you with this as well too, because they're the ones that are going to spend the detailed one-on-one time outside of these group events to really help you craft that and master that. And that's what they're there for. They're there to help you with this, and that's what we all as coaches at LAK do, and why branding is key, and it flows into the networking, and it flows into the how you're going to land your next job, and that's what's going to set you apart from everyone else. So if you're not doing this with your coach, I would strongly encourage you to do that with your coach.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah. All right, everybody, enjoy. We'll I guess maybe see some of you tomorrow on the Wednesday call, and maybe we could pick it up from there, or we'll do a different topic since tomorrow's kind of an open forum. So we'll take it from there.
Thanks, Andy.
Got it.
Thanks,
Take care,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.